Hi everyone, welcome back to day 6 of our Halloween Book Nook countdown. You can see now I've went ahead yesterday and installed the window wall. I also installed the baseboards before I glued that one in place, and then I've also put the side wall on now, and I kind of put that on the bench that way and put some heavy weights on top of that. So I'll put a picture up of that now. And you'll notice here I tape up the corners. It's always a good idea. If you get a corner that meets exactly where you want it to, tape it up. It'll keep it still while it dries, and then you can focus on the corners that aren't working the way you want them to. This, or the joins, this join here, this wall wanted to bow a little, so I had to make sure I got it in the right place, very carefully lay it over and put the weight on top of there. And there's just something to note: when you're removing masking tape off of anything like chipboard or matboard, you want to pull it very carefully back on itself, not up. So if you pull it back on itself, and especially when you go over the edge, just be wary of trying not to lift any layers up, because this is a layered product, same as matboard. So just do that carefully. You don't want to leave it on any longer than necessary, because I think the glue kind of makes itself at home and doesn't want to come off even more then. So take that off when you're sure that it's dry. And I don't know if you saw on Instagram or Facebook, I did a couple of pictures, one with the window in and one without, and I had that on the front, and I thought it looked really good without the window wall and just this on the front, almost looking through the trees straight into the room. So you can mix and match and change this up however you like. So today we're going to be looking at the graveyard scene, and whether you're putting that in front of your window wall or behind it, it's the same thing. You don't have to do it this way. This is just a way I thought of doing it. What I really wanted to achieve was kind of 3D, little moulded grassy landscape, just enough to stick some headstones in to give the impression of a graveyard. And you can see yesterday, as I said, the last thing on the last video, go and glue your matboard layers up, put the craft board detail layers on the top. And there's something else that I did. Sometimes when you layer a product, you can see the layers on the edge, and if you want to get rid of those, this is a method that I learned from the lovely Heather Tracy of Thicket Works, is to run some super glue along and pour some baking powder over it, sprinkle it over, and it creates a really nice edge, and you can sand this edge. So that covered up the layers, and I'll put a little video now of me doing exactly that on this so you can see the method. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've kind of got my front area just propped up in front of me there. What I thought would be quite a good way to achieve a 3D landscape, and I've seen this method, Era Bentley of Bentley House Minis has used this, and Sharon Ojala of Where the Gnomes Live also has made amazing trees using this method. So let's get some kitchen foil, and we're going to scrumple it up roughly to get some depth to the landscape. Then we're going to cover it in masking tape to hold it there, and then we're going to cover it with a grass type of material. So this should be fun. You can just squidge it into the space you've got, so there's no dimensions involved. and I think it's best just to get it rough to start with. The one thing it can't be is deeper than, but it doesn't matter if it's not the full depth. And I know I'm getting low on tinfoil, so we've already ordered some more to be delivered tomorrow. So I'm going to just start, and I'm thinking, because we've got the trees, if you imagine this bit here, I want them at least to start to be seen above the bottom of there, so I can see the height there. So keep your trees to hand. This is how fine I've cut this today. There we go, that's the end of my foil. So, luckily I have 3 pieces of foil, and one of them I thought I'll make the mound first. I want to just cut a slit through it and glue the cross in as if it's sticking out. That one will probably sit on its own a bit more. We haven't got a lot of depth to play with here, and I could get away with just 2, but I don't like 2 of anything. So we'll see. Let me just take that off of there so I can press down a bit more. I think that's good enough as it is now. You can see that there. So I'm going to get my masking tape and start taping it together, and you can squish it a bit more as well. So I'll go on fast forward now, and you'll just see me do this quicker because I'll probably hum and ahhing a lot. Okay, so kind of got my rough shape there, and I've left a little bit of a gap at each edge so that we can wrap the grassy material around it. And if I do that now, if you imagine it's going to have some extra material on it, and it's just, you can just see it there. So when the headstones are on it, you'll see some of the bottom. I want you to be able to see them almost coming out of the ground. And another reason for using the masking tape is to give something for the glue to hold on to. So if it was just the silver foil, the glue might not glue that so well. Both Sharon and Era, I think, have used a kind of damp paper towel and PVA water 50-50 mix. You can do that over here like papier-mâché. So whatever you want to cover it with is up to you. But my husband had the very good idea of a microfiber cloth, and this one is one that has had bleach on it, so it's well used but it's clean. So I thought this is quite a good starting colour, especially you'll notice this is quite monochrome, this box, and I've decided that the occupant for this book nook is going to be Death himself. So I'm going to try, and we'll have some fun and create a death figure skeleton with a robe to go in there. And one of the things I thought about is we're going to make a fire for the fireplace. I thought it would be fun to have greeny blue flames, as if it was the fire was kept alive by the souls of those who have passed. So I thought also, if I've got a greeny and going to blue hues mounded of grass with gravestones, that will lead through into the same colour fire at the back. That's what I'm aiming for at the moment. It might change. So as you can see, microfiber cloth is actually a really good texture for grass at scale. So that's really good. I will be gluing it on with just a straightforward PVA glue, and then you can kind of wrinkle it and rumple it as you go to create the folds in the grass. So I don't need all of this material. I'm just going to cut off, to start with, enough that I know will go around it. And it's not going to be an exact science. And it could get messy. That's a bit too uniform. I'm not very good at random. I like really, really uniform random. So, and you can also, the great thing about masking tape and foil is you can cut into it afterwards. So I'm going to make this and let it dry, and then I'm going to cut the hole and be able to shove the cross in there. This, I hope, will sit, and then this one will be a little bit more off to one side like it's falling. So that's what I'm aiming at. I probably need to soak this in glue. I don't know how well if I just poured glue on. Will it be too gluey? Do I need a watery glue? I've got this. Yeah, I haven't done this before. I thought we'd just do it live. Nothing like a live experiment. I can try with this, and if it doesn't work, I'll try again. Actually, I think that's a bit more. I've got some more watery glue over here. Yeah, that one's more watery. We'll try this one. It's still a regular PVA glue. And I'll get an old brush. That's probably way too much glue. This is a silicone mat, as I've said before, so it's fine for the glue to get on it. Okay, I always have these little bits of vinyl tablecloths that I use of my really yucky stuff on, so it can dry on there then. So I'm just literally going to try and make this look, maybe you don't want as many folds as that, just cling it round there. And then once it's dry, we can go in and use some acrylic paint and dirty it up a little bit, maybe water it down, some blacks and browns and greys, and make it look a bit yucky. It's a bit too pristine at the moment. I think that's quite good. And if there's too much there, I can just cut it off if it doesn't fit in there. So I can feel it in there clinging to the masking tape underneath. So I'm just making sure my fingers are really icky now, that it's pressed down well onto the masking tape and foil mound. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to leave that flat like that to dry, so then it will take on the same shape as the flat bottom of the book nook. I don't know how long that will take. Maybe I'll give it an hour and I'll come back. Actually, whilst that's drying, I thought also I'd mention, I'm a mind to, you can get a textured stone effect spray paint in DIY stores. I thought that would be a good thing to try on these, but also you could paint them grey acrylic and then use just stippling and dabbing and sponging and dry brushing with other shades of acrylic to create the stone effect. And if you wanted to do marble, of course, you would do your marble effect paint and then probably want to gloss seal to give it that lovely polished shiny look. So I'm going to have they're all going to be of a similar vein in colour because I kind of don't want them to distract too much from the view through the window. So I'm going to do them all pretty much the same, and then afterwards I'm going to go over the fine detail with something to bring out the extra, the debossing. You can, I don't know if you can see, you can just about see that there. I've got a date on that one and RIP on that one. So we can paint those up too, and then we'll come back. If that takes too long to dry, I'll leave that. I'll put these in there and I'll show you the finished result. Okay, so I decided to look out of the window and saw that it was absolutely tipping down with rain, and so that made my decision for me not to go and get some spray paint. So I decided to use what I already had, and I just got my acrylic paints out, painted them grey, stippled some different colours on, hopefully to give the effect of lichen and moss. And then here's my original little microfibered cemetery mound, and I just added some extra colours over, and I'll probably take that down again with a dark wash of brown and black. So I'm going to need to leave those dry overnight. We'll come back to it tomorrow. Some days you get further than you think, and other days not so far. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you soon.